Forward. March.
Can we bow in prayer? Father, I want to thank you for the community that we live in. We believe that we live in the very best place on the face of this earth. And I want to thank you for some you folks that you're sending in our way with great gifts and talents, many of which have fled religious persecution in the places that they live. Lord, as we have some times of trouble in our nation, you are raising up sons and daughters. You spoke to them and they said, what can I do to be a part of the solution? And many of them are on stage tonight that have said that you have directed to run for a public office and be part of the solution. Father, we thank you for them, men and women that are willing to serve our community simply to honor what their constituents want to do and be able to be a part of righting a sinking ship. Father, we want to thank you for men and women that you're raising up, and we believe that just as you raise champions up in Bible times, you're raising up men and women. You're going to be placing some of these in office that are bold, that are strong in their faith, and they're willing, if unconstitutional injustices come our way, they will say no. They won't bend, they won't bow, and they won't compromise, protecting our citizens here in our community. But Father, they'll also be keeping you from a displeasure on our community and the wrath that would fall on us. So Lord, we want to commit to pray for these folks. We want to commit to support them. We ask your blessing upon them as they travel. We ask your blessing upon them for their families as they sacrifice and they have to spend time apart. We ask your blessing upon their health. And Lord, we propose that we commit to support them with our prayers, with our support, and with our actions. Father, thank you for each and every one that will be speaking tonight. Give them clarity of mind and heart as they speak and clearly get across what they would serve our county. In Jesus' name, amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand as the colors are being presented by the Volunteer High School Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps. And Miss Kaylee Vaughn will come and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the singing of the National Anthem by Ryan James. Miss Vaughn.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight were the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Yeah, baby.
That's your two guys. Thank you, Ryan, and thank you, Kelly. Let's give a big hand to the Volunteer Junior ROTC. Well, thank you, folks, for coming out on Thursday night to hear these 8 lady and gentlemen who want you to consider them for mayor of this county. But before we get started that, folks, I would ask for all the elected officials who are currently serving that are here tonight, if you please stand and be recognized, please. I know we've got some county commissioners in here. Please stand up. Thank you for being. In fact, these 3 county commissioners were here last week. Thank you very much for being here. Now, there are also several folks in the audience tonight who are running for office. And the fellows who are running office, would you please stand and be recognized? A big round of applause. Now I would like to recognize some special people. Someone might have stepped out the door. But tonight, here, serving and working to put this on, are members of the Carters Valley Volunteer Fire Department, Goshen Valley Volunteer Fire Department, Striggersville was in here Thursday, Stanley Valley Volunteer Fire Department, Lakeview Volunteer Fire Department, and Persia Volunteer Fire Department, and the Churchill Rescue Squad, and the Hawkins County Hazmat Emergency Response Team. Would you guys and gals please stand and be recognized? All of our fire guys. In your program, ladies and gentlemen, is a page that talks about our fire service here in Hawkins County. And the one thing you need to know and understand is the volunteer services in Hawkins County saves this county in excess of $15 million a year. $15 million a year, and they do it volunteering and begging for money. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight. I'm going to turn this over and listen. Let's give these folks a big hand for being here tonight and being on the stage. One last thing, in your brochures, your program is a form. If you have a question, fill it out. Just raise your hand up in the air and hold your question up. One of our team will come get it. Please do not bring the question to the MC. We need to take it back to have it vetted before we send it up here. With that, please welcome Mr. Woody Boyd, one of our corporate members of the Hawkins County Firemen's Association.
All right. Try to have some fun tonight. The fire group has a list of questions for me to read, but they'd much rather have questions from you guys. We're only going to get about 12 questions tonight. So if you have anything burning that you want to ask, write it down, raise your hand. These guys will check it out, make sure it's not crazy, and then I'm going to read it. So we have a number of questions from the last time that we're going to start with, and then we'll proceed either with the canned questions they've given me or the new ones. There we go. You guys, same drill as last time, 1 minute to answer his questions. You can see the timer here. Relax. So what you guys want to try to determine is one of these people is going to represent the county as our spokesperson in Nashville in front of government agencies. Yes, Bill? No.
1 minute each up front on the stage before we start your speeches.
Yeah, they're going to get an intro, yeah. So think about who of this group can make our county function as a team of employees and can represent us in Nashville and for other organizations. I can tell you, I ran for county commissioner last time. Came in 5th. It's a lot of work. All these people deserve a lot of credit for even taking a shot at it. A couple of things. Please put your phone on mute. And Jeff Bobo of the Rogersville Review is here and is live streaming this. So please, no video games, no watching YouTubes, because he's having to go off of cellular service and he's barely making it. So let's keep the bandwidth reserved for the Rogersville Review. With that, we'll get started. David, you want to give your opening speech? We'll go across the crowd and tell us why you're such a good guy.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm a good guy, but I try to be. My name is David Bailey. I live in Lawrenceville, Sugarland subdivision. We own Golden Dairy Record in Rogersville, me and my family. Been in our family 52 years. Very proud of that. We're the oldest continuous run record in Hawkins County, run by the same family. I want to run for county mayor so that I can try to make a difference for the people of Hawkins County. We do need some unification in our county. We've got to have the people to get together. We need citizens to come in to help. We've got a lot of problems in this county that need to be fixed. I have some ideas, and some ways that I don't have time to explain right now, but some ideas of ways that might be able to help. May not be the best idea, but you take any idea you got and you can make it better. We've got a lot of issues in our county. We have a homeless problem. We've got industry problems. We've got residential problems. We've got water and sewer problems. A whole lot of things going on in our county that we need to look at to try to help the citizens of Hawkins County. And if you will vote for me in August as an independent, I think that we can make a change for the people of Hawkins County. Thank you.
Okay, I agree with David. We've got a lot of problems in Hawkins County, but we've also got some great folks in Hawkins County sitting out here. I'd like to thank the volunteer high school and everybody that's involved in this, the Fire Association. Bill Killen doesn't get recognized enough, so Bill, thank you. Thanks to the other candidates for being here as well. My name is Mark DeWitt. Currently a member of the Rogersville Board of Mayor and Aldermen. I'm currently a county commissioner for Hawkins County District 5. I'm vice president of MBM Packaging. We do printing and things like that. I owned a computer business downtown Rogersville for a while, so you might remember me from that. A graduate of Rogersville High School, 1975, and I guess that's going to tell my age, but I'm also a graduate of the University of Tennessee in Knoxville in 1979. I'm married to Ann Russell DeWitt. She's my vote getter. She's my golden ticket. She's right out here. We've been married for 22 years as of 2 days ago. I'm the son of the late Maury and Rita DeWitt. You probably know my dad Maury from starting the Dodge manufacturing plant, and my mom Rita from a lot of civic activities. So I look forward to tonight, and glad you all got to be here.
My name's Gibson. Again, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. Appreciate you, the Fireman Association putting this on. This is a great opportunity for people to find out about us. A little bit about myself. I'm married to my classmate, Brenda Gibson. We started out first grade together, and we've been married for quite a while. Got 3 kids, 1 granddaughter, and hopefully find out any day with number 2 on the way, whether it's going to be a boy or a girl. So, my education, graduated Churchill High School a little bit before Mark did. Rogersville, graduated in 1973. Ended up going to Virginia Tech on a football scholarship. Played football up there 4 years, came back. I completed a master's degree plus 45 hours above my master's. I taught at Churchill for 1 year, moved in to volunteer when it opened, so I feel like I'm coming home here. I spent 12 years here, then with Sullivan Central. Spent 18 years in administration. I'm currently an alderman in the city of Churchill and also a county commissioner, and I would appreciate your support.
Mike?
I'm Mike Carew. I've been a county commissioner going on 8 years. Ever since I've been a county commissioner, I've chaired the full commission. I've been the chair of the budget. I've been the chair of public safety. I've been the chair of solid waste. About every chair there is almost. I'm married to Angie Gibson Harrell. I think she might be a little bit key here. I'm not sure. But I've been married to her for 24 years. We got 2 kids that both of them attending ETSU. I'm just the guy that don't have no conflict in the county. And I just want to make a difference and try to help get the county back on track. Thank you.
Okay, Kelly.
Thanks for the opportunity to speak. My name is Kelly Markle. Linda and I have 5 kids and 8 grandkids. We want those kids and your kids to grow up in this county. And we will work together to make this county better. I have an engineering degree from Walter State. I have a bachelor's degree from Tulsa University. I am presently working with Walter State in the engineering department as an instructor. I worked at TRW for over 36 years as a manufacturing support manager. I'm a superintendent at Tunnel Hill Missionary Baptist Church. As your mayor, you will see me working hard for you. We will work together and we will pray together. That's so important. And we'll get results together. God bless you, and God bless Hawkins County.
Kenny?
Hello, my name is Kenneth Stapleton, and I reside in Hawkins County and have since I was about 1 year old. We moved here from Chicago. My wife's Leah Stapleton, and we just introduced our baby boy into this world last Friday. So he's been a bundle of joy, and I've been removed from this lifestyle for the past week, and it's kind of been an eye-opening break to realize that his future is our future, to get him and his generation up into this county and strive for, a positive lifestyle. And that's one reason I've decided to run, is because my generation and the generations after me are kind of getting left to the wayside, and I don't know whose feet that falls on, and I was honestly a part of that, and that's one reason I decided to go after this, is to get our future interested and informed into this county, because right now, if we tackled everything we could as hard as we could the next 4 or 8 years, if we don't have anybody to leave it to, it's a wash. That's one reason. Thank you.
Thank you. Stacy?
My name's Stacy Vaughn. I was raised in Hawkins County, went to Hawkins County schools, graduated actually from volunteer. After that, my full-time job has been with the Sheriff of Hawkins County. I currently serve as a patrol shift supervisor, managing the daily duties of patrol shift of deputies. I'm also employed by Walker State Community College as an adjunct instructor. I served for 14 years as a Hawkins County Commissioner. I served on nearly every committee in the role of either vice chairman or chairman. I served as the chairman from 2010 to 2018 of the University of Tennessee Hawkins County Agricultural Committee. Every committee I've been a part of was a budget building committee, and I was a team player with part of that to help produce positive things, such as the UT Ag Committee. We were able to get another Ag Extension agent to the county. So I pride myself in being a team player to get projects completed and done.
Thanks, Stacy. Martha?
Good afternoon, Hawkins County residents, voters, and my fellow citizens. I'm Martha Wallace. I have lived in Hawkins County my entire life, grew up in Rogersville. I went to Rogersville City School for grade school and Rogersville High School, graduated in 1971, got married in July of 71, and come July the 24th of this year, James and I will be married 51 years. And yes, he still claims me. In 1990, County Executive Doug Price hired me to fill the seat of his receptionist and secretary, and that title later changed to Administrative Assistant and Purchasing Coordinator. And as Administrative Assistant role, I have worked close with all of the neighbors since then. I've worked with the county commissioners, as well as other county, state, and city officials, and I have been directly involved in much of the business that has gone on in the county. As purchasing coordinator, I was responsible for the daily purchases of goods and services for all the departments in the general fund, highway fund, solid waste fund, and education fund. And in that 30 years that I've worked, I've had the pleasure of working for 5 mayors.
Thanks, Martha. I'm going to cut you off here. All right, so we have got a blizzard of questions from the audience, which is great. And what I'm going to do is start. David, you're going to go first this time. This is from Holly Miller, who is the student body president of Cherokee. And she wrote this question. We couldn't get to it last time. So here's Holly's question. What plans do you have to encourage students pursuing higher education to return to Hawkins County after their graduation?
First of all, you've got to have an infrastructure to bring those children back to the county, get them educated, bring better jobs into the county where they want to be, nurses, doctors, teachers, lawyers, whatever. have the facility to, have the ability to facilitate, to keep those students and those people in our county, because they are our future. We have some great schools in our area. We've got ETSU, of course, Knoxville, Tusculum, Carson Human, Walter State, all great schools. All of them have got different programs. I do know that we have a lot of our students that leave because they just don't have the opportunity here. Well, as the mayor, we've got to find ways to get those people to stay.
Thanks, thanks,
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, minute goes fast. Minute goes fast.
Okay, I'm a product of the Hawkins County Schools, and I've been, I can't tell you how many different places I've lived, all the way from Missouri to Hawaii, back to Colorado, back to Kentucky, and I came back to Rogersville because I think that you have to have a deep-rooted love for Hawkins County. I think that if we can start developing some businesses, especially with the new CTE facility, people don't have to go to college to go on in this world. So if these businesses get developed, they'll need some managers, they'll need some people to guide them and help them too. So there should be reasons for these folks to come back. They may do like I did, leave for a little while and come back, but I think we can accomplish that.
Thanks, Mark. Keith?
Well, like most everybody else up here, I am also a product of the school system up here in the county. I came back. Unfortunately, my children, I had a daughter, had to leave to go find a job. And, you know, that's much to my dismay. I did not like the fact that she had to leave. She was looking for a teaching job. There were no teaching jobs available. But what we need to do, you know, just like we talk about businesses, we need to try to get businesses in here. We need, you know, for the college graduates. Mark mentioned the CTE, and that's a big thing. Of course, that's my background. I spent 32 years working in CTE. It's one of the biggest things I think that with this new school that's going to be opening up, that we're going to be able to train kids for the jobs, actually for jobs in the future. Because, you know, a lot of times kids go to school, the jobs that they're going to be taking has not even been created yet. So, you know, we just got to work, try to get businesses in here that will be a place that they want to come back to. And that's the big thing, make them where they want to come back.
Thanks, Keith. Mike?
Okay, I'm big on CTE. I mean, I'm kind of, that's where I graduated from, CTE classes. So I'm going real big on CTE, and I think that's where it's going to have to start with our young generation. And also, I like to see the young generation get more into the politics, because I think if we start getting a young set of mind on some of the things that's going on in the county, I think that's going to help. They will give us input and try to help us keep some of these kids here in Hawkins County. So I really believe the CTE is a plus in my book, and I also like to sit down with the director of schools and try to figure out ways we can start doing programs in the county for the seniors to try to get them more involved in what's going on with the schools and the county itself.
Thanks, Mike. Kelly?
I'm working at Walter State now, and teaching a lot of technical classes. Of course, we go into other classes too. And I've been helping Christian Academy, Lakeway Christian Academy in Moorestown, and we're starting a program, a welding program for them, helping them with that. I think our applied school of technology is what they call it now. If I become your mayor, which I plan to, I will visit them. We got to get back to where we're training kids in machine shop area. There's CNC equipment, and there's a lot of fear there, but you can take away those fears with just a few classes, and you'd be surprised. I'm teaching some guys now, none of them knew anything coming into it, and now they're proud walking out of there. They've actually used a lathe and a mill, a cut-off saw, a grinder, and it's exciting seeing that. But that's what we need in Hawkins County, because there's jobs out there now, technical jobs that they can't fit.
Thank you. Kelly?
One way we could get kids to come back to our county is unleashing the potential that we already have in a lot of the businesses that have made a name in the county, and a lot of the kids don't know the absolute potential of how far they could go with the jobs that are already provided in Hawkins County. Obviously, we'd like to see the county grow, all of us. I believe that's a mark for everybody. But I believe that there's a lot of unseen job potential that people could go out, or the businesses come to the schools, or get with the director of schools and say, hey, we have positions open for manager, supervisor, and ways to move up in the county before we have to bring a larger industry into the county. And Hawkins County, the lifestyle, it's just different. That's why people move back here, because it's not as fast paced, and people like our surroundings that we have. With that, I believe that we could tap into that.
Thank you. Stacy?
The county's gonna have to be marketable to the individuals that have graduated high school, went to college, in order to come back here and get the jobs they're wanting to get. We're sitting on a gold mine, as I've said before, with the Fitzbin Industrial Park. You know, we contract through networks out of Sullivan County to market our properties down there to try to recruit business. I think as a county as a whole, we need to get behind our industrial recruitment, our industrial board. We need to support networks. We need to try to bring those jobs in here, recruit those companies. I know Larry Elkins and his team works hard. They work daily, weekly, trying to support that ordeal to bring companies in here, to sell our spec building that we had out there like we did a few years ago, to try to recruit those businesses. We also, I served on the board of directors of the Holston Business Development Group, which is located at BAE. It's an incubator. It's a place where small businesses come in, and the county gives a small portion, about $50,000 a year, to help support that, so people can grow their small business and they can branch out into places such as the Fitzbin Industrial Park. We need to get behind both of those projects to support those, so we can bring the jobs back in that people are going to college to go to work for.
Thanks, Stacy. Martha?
I think that we need to work with the school system, screen the kids at school. I know now I have a grandson that's a freshman, and they do have career tech classes in school. Encourage them for a path in a trade. Check with the industries in the county and see what their needs are. Make sure that we teach those classes at the career tech school. And everybody's not college material, so that career technology school is going to be very important to our students that are going through high school now. You're going to have students that want to go to college to have a career in a professional field. We need to make sure that the area is in the need of what their profession is, and work with them to be able to set up a small business. It's very expensive to set up a small business and start out.
Thanks, Martha. Okay, Mark, we're going to get the next one.
Okay, yes, sir.
Holston Connect has invested a massive amount of money to create a countywide high-speed fiber optic network. Some pundits are saying that these networks are the new industrial parks. Given the recent explosion in remote work, how can Hawkins County leverage Holston Connect's investment and recruit knowledge workers that bring their high-paying jobs with them, resulting in increased economic activity, especially sales tax revenue?
I think we're far ahead of the game, thanks to Holston Connect, getting some high-speed internet in here. And as you know, we went through a pandemic. Everybody's been through that. A lot of people ended up working at home. A lot of businesses are keeping people at home, and we need to market that fact that we do have that infrastructure in place for their business already. I'm proud of Holston Connect's efforts, and I think that as far as generating sales tax from that, was that part of the question?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Increased economic activity.
Okay. You're going to have a lot of folks that start home businesses, and they're going to rely on that internet to do so. You know, we have to capture that sales tax from those home businesses as well, to make sure that we're capitalizing on everything we can. But as I said, we're ahead of the game. We've got a great infrastructure in place, and we just need to get the word out about it.
How are we gonna leverage Holston Connect?
Holston Connect has been a great thing for Hawkins County as far as getting this internet out into some of these rural areas. I know my neighbor that moved in next door to me, moved in here from Louisiana, and he and his wife both work at home. But my son works from home, so this internet is providing a lot of opportunities for people to move in here, to move into some of the more rural areas where they can work from home. But as far as getting the economics, not 100% sure about that. Talking about small business, people start businesses from home. I'm sure that's a good possibility. But I think the biggest thing is marketing that this internet is available throughout Hawkins County. And
Thanks.
I'll stop there.
So how are we gonna recruit remote workers?
Well, I'll start off by saying, Hosting Connect itself has brought a lot of jobs into the county. And I mean, I guess that's where it kind of starts. I mean, me having my own small business, I have Hosting Connect myself. So, and I mean, it's great. I think it will benefit the county. We need to get it all over the county. I think there's still some spots maybe that don't have it. But I think it's gonna be great for all the small businesses that's coming into the county and the big factories. So I kind of think it's just wonderful.
Kelly?
I've got a son and daughter-in-law that work from home. One's works in county for Eastman, and the other one works as an accountant for a coal company. And I'd say they've not been to work in several months. They do it just all online. I think what this brings to Hawkins County, it's not going to have a direct impact and get revenue out of it, but indirectly it'll make a difference. Like you're saying, internet business is booming right now, and sales. I've seen a lot of people do that, and there's going to be businesses created. I don't know if you can how to directly measure that.
Okay. Kenny?
Honestly, I'm not gonna sit up here and lie to you. I don't know, because the internet's been around. We've had Spectrum and now Holston Connect. I thank Holston Connect because it got me out of a pretty slow service, and they provide a better service. So I'm thankful for that, and I'm sure a lot of people that's had to work from home or started businesses where they are home-based, I'm sure they really do appreciate having a solid network to be based on. But as far as leveraging them, they're leveraging us. I mean, and that's not a bad thing. They're just providing a great service, and we're using it. So as far as that, I'm looking there.
Okay. Stacy?
Well, I think we're all on the same page as far as that goes, so I'm not going to repeat everything they've just said. But I think by having Hosting Connect come in here, I think this has put one more tool in Hawkins County's toolbox that makes us more marketable, like I was talking about the fits being the joint venture, the industrial board, when we're doing business recruitment. This gives us one more thing, such as our water, our sewer. That adds to us, and all that goes into an equation with our school system, and it puts us out there when they're trying to market us to get industry. So by having a good, stable internet, it makes us that much more marketable.
Thank you.
I think Hosting Connect has helped to put us, as Stacy says, as a better advantage of industries coming in, because as I've said before, they look at the area and what services is provided before they move here. But not only industry, but people moving from other states that work from home or rely on their cell phones, that cell phones don't work in all the remote areas. So if they have internet, then they can use their smartphones through the internet and the Wi-Fi, which gives them their connection to other people in the county and the services when they're at home. As far as small businesses, if they start a small business at home, it may not be something that they market that would collect sales tax, but if they're moving to the area, then they're going to be shopping at home and we're going to collect sales tax from that. They're probably collecting sales tax or some type of excise tax from the internet service, and I'm not sure exactly who's getting that.
Okay. All right. Those were the easy ones.
You forgot me again, Wood. Folks, last week in Rogersville, Woody forgot me a couple of times. It's okay.
Well, you're not up to law.
I'm used to being forgotten about anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
All right, so, Ulster Connect, high-speed internet, how are we gonna use that to get people to move here, the remote workers, the professionals?
You know, Hawkins Connect is a great thing. It is providing internet service to a lot of people. And I have a couple of ideas that would not directly influence, but it will indirectly. We need tourism too, folks. Tourism brings a lot of money in. Look at Sevier County, a county of 80,000 people that has 20 million visitors. Yeah, they do have the Great Smoky Mountains. But we need to utilize our geography. We need to utilize the places that we've got. You bring things into the county, and I won't disclose all of those, but there are things that you can bring into the county that bring tourism, bike trails, motocross trails. There are things you can do. Scott County, Virginia has done that. Their tourism is booming. They've got all these riding trails for four-wheelers and everything. Booming. They're making money off the Creeper Trail up in Damascus. Riding a bicycle. We have stuff like that. It will bring jobs into the county. It will bring tourism into the county. And it will cause other businesses to come. That's just one idea. And plus, you know, Hope to Connect, it is a great service. And it is going to be our future.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's talk about tourism. Keith, you're up. What about tourism? They come, they spend money, they go home, we get sales tax. Why don't we do better at that?
One of the new state initiatives is promoting tourism. In a meeting that Gary Hicks talked to us, and he mentioned that money is going to be available to help promote the tourism. What we need to do, we need to find it, and Hawkins County is rich in the historical areas. You know, we've got a lot of things that we could start promoting, and you know, and the great thing about that is if we can get state funds, that prevents us from having to use our local dollars to do that. But this is something, you know, we got Laurel Run Park up there, we got the Hill Springs Inn down here, you know, the historical, and who knows, the Amix Mill, there's all different kinds of places that's in this county that we can promote. And there's a lot of people would like to come. I know Otis Eldridge has that little, I forgot what he called his town over there, that he talked to me one day about how many people he had show up from all over. They've done documentaries on it. So if we can take advantage of some of this state dollars and use that to help start promoting and get more tourism in this county.
Thanks, Keith. Okay, Mike, how are you going to promote tourism? How are we going to get more tourists here?
Well, I think we ought to start out by, we're gonna have to start getting grants. And we're gonna have to find somebody that's good at writing grants. Cause that's where it's gonna start, and I see that to be a big problem here in the county, cause we do not go after enough grants to bring stuff in for people to do. So, and I mean, like what Keith said, I agree with everything he says, but it's all gonna have to start with getting a grant writer. And that's where I think it needs to start at.
Okay. Kelly? How are we going to do tourism?
I think the city at Rogersville is starting to do a good job. I think if we would look at what Sigorsville's doing, with their, just, you walk in their museum, and you'll see things if you've been around here forever, you'll see the missing links, and you remember those, you know, that type of thing. But it's not getting out there. I mean, they got stuff to see, and I think my opinion, no disrespect, but we're procrastinating. We've got all these ideas, And if you look at all these ideas, they were here 4 years ago. I say it's time to take action and do something. It's time to go look for those grants, not just talk about it. Let's don't talk about why we can't. Let's talk about how we can. And I think that's a big issue with all of us right now.
Thanks, Bill. Ken?
So with tourism, I believe that we can do a better job of getting what we have established out there and marketed across the country, because a lot of people, they moved here because of that. And I've talked to probably at least 100 people in the last few months that's moved here because Rockville is what it is. So when we talk about bringing in for tourism, what aspect are we talking about? Are we talking about a town type, or are we wanting to get something, towards Pigeon Forge? And honestly, I don't want a Pigeon Forge. I believe bringing tourism here and getting the essentials that we have, like Keith said, with Otis Eldridge, the Memory Lane car show. We've done a lot of stuff downtown. The Jeep shows that benefited police forces. Hale Springs Inn. We have multiple things. We need to market them a lot better and possibly bring in more types of events like that. That way we can keep our town the way it is, but growth.
All right, thank you. Stacy?
We have a Chamber of Commerce, and we have a Chamber Director that promotes Hawkins County daily, weekly, yearly. And the Director works on a very small contribution from Hawkins County. If the County Commission currently wants to help promote tourism, then get behind your chamber director and do what you say, promote tourism. Because we have a director that's out here every day that can help promote us and make us shine and do any kind of projects that Hawkins County wants to do to further their tourism. The steps are already put in place. The only thing missing is funding. So if you're willing to fund it, it's there.
Thanks, Stacy. Martha?
As Stacy says, Nancy Barker at the Chamber for Hawkins County and Rogersville works closely with tourism. She works with the tourism of Northeast Tennessee State. They have a brochure that is in various locations within the county. They have a website that promotes Hawkins County's historical history. We have Civil War. They partnered with the Civil War Trail of the United States. We have several monuments through the county of the Civil War Trail that you can stop and read. That's marketed. We've had the Quilt Trail before that has meandered through the county and across the state. The camper sites in Mooresburg, if you drive through Mooresburg, you see little campers everywhere. Most of those people are coming from somewhere else, so that's bringing tourism into the state. The fishing, the lakes that people can go fishing on that come and live in those campers, and some of them come and stay all summer. So I think that, as Stacy says, we need to get behind the chamber and encourage her and have to fund her. And I know she does work with state grants too.
Okay. Don't forget. No, you're out later. You already answered the tour. I'll go ahead.
And there is a lot of ways that we can bring tourism into Hawkins County. David Crockett's grandparents are buried in Rogersville. We got one of two ebbing and flowing springs of the world. A lot of people, that's no big deal, but it fascinates me to go out next to Davis Mill and see that creek rise and go down every 4 hours. There's two places in the world that have that. One's Rogersville, Tennessee, Hawkins County, and the other one I think is in South Africa. So a lot of people, they don't drive to see stuff like that. We've got Laurel Run Park. We've got different things throughout the county. We've got Host to Connect that can connect us. That is part of their work. Connect. If we get this out here on the internet, no, we'll never be Sevierville Pigeon Forge, but we can also have enough to come in. We call these people in Damascus and Scott County and ask them how they got those things going. See if they'll help us get our creeper trail or to get our bike trail or whatever. We do anything. We've got Heritage Days. We need to promote this stuff more, because Heritage Day just doesn't do it for the weekend. We need something 52 weeks a year.
Yeah.
And we've got to have that in order to do it. And as the mayor, I will do everything I can to bring that in. And of course, one thing leads to another.
Thanks, David. Okay, Mark.
I've always been a firm believer in tourism and the tax dollars that can bring in, that we don't have to pay anything back out on. It doesn't cost us to put their kids in school. They're giving us money to develop the tourism in the county. Been mentioned the Rogersville Hawkins County Chamber of Commerce. They are an organization that works hard toward tourism. I am on the board of the Main Street organization, which is under the Chamber of Commerce. Things like the car shows and motorcycle shows that we talked about don't just happen. Those are pushed by the Main Street organization. And grant writing, yeah, that's great, and we do need some more. But I can tell you that through the Main Street organization, we have gotten grants for historic sites like the Powell Law Office, St. Mark's. We've got a park plan in place now. If you've been to Swift Park lately, you'll see all the improvements there. So there are organizations already working on that, and they could use help, but we're working.
Okay. Mike, ready for a good one?
This is from Brother Sheldon Livesay that gave us our invocation tonight.
Hawkins County recently declared itself to be a sanctuary county, the first in the state of Tennessee to do so. As county mayor, what would you do to interpose the county between its citizens and a tyrannical federal or state government edict?
Yeah, that's a good one,
Yeah,
Hawkins County recently declared itself to be a sanctuary county, the first in the state of Tennessee to do so. As county mayor, what would you do to interpose the county between its citizens and a tyrannical federal or state government edict?
I thought that was a good one.
All right. I think back in, I think it's 18, I was the one doing the Second Amendment rights sanction for the county. So I think that, the Constitution is in place. So, I know we pass these sanctions and stuff, and I'm all for that, but I really think, and I really don't know if I'm answering this question correctly, but I think that we ought to stand with the Constitution, and I'm all for the Constitution, every one of them, and that's how I'm going to answer it. So,
Okay. I'm going to read the question again, Kelly, because it's a complicated question. Blame Sheldon for this one. And he prayed this way this afternoon, didn't he?
Good on that one.
Hawkins County recently declared itself to be a sanctuary county, the first in the state of Tennessee to do so. As county mayor, what would you do to interpose the county between its citizens and a tyrannical federal or state government edict?
I'm like Mike, I don't know that I'm gonna get the answer everybody's looking for, but I agree with getting back to constitutional living. One of the key things I really fear sometimes is taking our rights away from us from a worship standpoint. I depend on Jesus Christ every day. And if I go in as mayor, that'll be, prayer will be the number one thing that'll make me successful. And I think with this resolution, I think Mark did was a good step to protect us on that.
Thanks. You want me to read it again?
Yeah.
I know. It's Hawkins County recently declared itself to be a sanctuary county, constitutional sanctuary county, the first in the state of Tennessee to do so. As county mayor, what would you do to interpose the county between its citizens and a tyrannical federal or state government edict?
Okay, I'm gonna start out with, as well as, Mr. Vaughn there, I was a former deputy, he still is. I know that our boys in blue locally aren't gonna back a tyrannical government. I'm pro-American as anybody in here. My background, if anybody knows me personally or, has done any research on me, I've shot for several companies across the nation, so I know what it is. I've seen it firsthand. Going to SHOT Show, going to NRA show, I see directly how much of an impact that a tyrannical government can be. Our Second Amendment right is there to protect the first. So without your second, you can't start anywhere. It does hit home. I'm kind of jittery on this one. I think that us coordinating with our local sheriff's departments and emergency response teams, if something was like this to happen, that communication would be vital, and I do support the Constitution, and I am pro-American.
Want to read it again?
Go ahead, Steve. 4 times. I would stand by and support the Constitution 100%. I would stand by and support the legislation passed by Hawkins County to support the Constitution. As mayor, I would be the front runner in any fight for any agency, federal or what it be, to come in to try to tell us different. It would be my duty as mayor to be sure that our rights were protected as Hawkins County, Tennessee.
Martha?
As mayor of the county, if I'm elected, I would take an oath, in my oath, that I would support the Constitution. I fully support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Tennessee, and I think that if a situation arose that you had to fight for the Constitution, then it would take more people than me, and I would be the leader to encourage the county commissioners and the people in the county to stand up for the Constitution and what it's for. And above that, I think, as Kelly has said, you have to look for your guidance from God above, who gives us everything that we have to begin with.
Thanks, Martha. Okay, David, I'm not going to forgive you this time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Second Amendment, right to bear arms. You know, I've got my guns. I'm not a big deer hunter. I don't hunt. I don't do anything like that. But I've got my guns. No one's going to walk into my house and take my guns. The federal government, Joe Biden, you know, whoever, is not going to take my guns. And as the mayor, I will stand at that front door and tell them, no, you're not coming in. You're not taking this. You're not doing that. And working with the commission and the people of Hawkins County, we can stand up to those. We have, you know, it's just unreal that some of the stupid ways that people want to be anymore about the gun issue and everything. Our forefathers done that for a reason, to help protect us from each other and from other countries that want to try to invade. It is, to me, nonsense, and I really don't know how to say this, but it's just sort of nonsense that we even have to have a discussion like that, because we are free Americans with the best system in the world.
Thank you. And Mark?
Okay, this one's right up my alley because I sponsored that resolution for making Hawkins County a constitutional sanctuary. As I understand it, a couple other commissioners were approached to do it, and they found it to be too controversial to back. But once the wind started blowing in the right direction, it was a unanimous decision from the commission to declare Hawkins County a constitutional sanctuary county. Straightforward, we pledge to support the Constitution of the state of Tennessee and the Constitution of the United States of America. Simple as that. I mean, in the Constitution, you've got the Second Amendment, you've got people that can be a well-regulated militia if it gets to that point. I definitely support the NRA. I've been a member for a long time, and I think they're, depending on the level of the intrusion, I guess you might say, there are different things you'd have to do. But that resolution is in place, and we can always go back, fall back on that.
Okay. Keith?
As a commissioner, we took an oath to support the state and the Constitution of this United States. And I take that very seriously. I'm also a member of the NRA. I'm a hunter. I have my guns, my gun collection. My wife says I have too many. She said one's enough, but I don't believe in that. You know, sometimes I'll go back to the mask mandates. My children used to give me a hard time because I wouldn't follow the mask mandates. And, you know, I thought it was overreach. I think if they was to come to some type of, if the federal government comes something toward us about whatever guns, I'll use that as an example. You know, I've told my wife several times before, if they ever come after mine, they'll have to prime. I'm like Charleston Heston said, they'll have to prime for my cold head fingers.
All right, gang, that was good.
Sheldon gets no more questions.
Yeah. Well, you know, Sheldon has the gravitas to be able to ask a question like that. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to take a 5-minute stand-up break. If you want to stand up, just move around a little bit. I got to organize some more questions here. So, 5 minutes.
I'll give you 6. I mean, that's a problem, you know?
All right, let's get those a bit on. Let's grab some seats. Y'all want a few softballs? You up there?
Yes.
Got a few inside baseball questions. You know who sponsors this event, right? Fire guys. So we have some questions from them. Currently, municipal fire departments are not dispatched into the county until requested by one of the volunteer fire departments. An automatic aid agreement would dispatch the nearest fire station to the fire incident. would you recommend convening a meeting of all the municipalities and volunteer departments to enact an automatic aid agreement for the entire county? As I understand that, means everybody gets dispatched and they coordinate, but they don't right now. Can we read that again?
I think I understand it, but I thought it was like that now. You know, I travel the county a lot back and forth, and I see a lot of firefighters. They're my heroes because of my house burned in '05. I'm not going, but I think they do a pretty good job right now from a teamwork standpoint. Because you might see Persia, but then you may see Rogersville, and they've got some way of speaking to each other when they need help. There's enough help there. But to totally answer your question, I didn't even know it was like that. But,
Would you get them all together?
yeah, you all together?
Yeah. Bring them all together and work out an agreement? That's what this question is about.
Oh, yes, I think that would be good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, when you refer to municipalities, are we within cities and counties or? Stacy?
Can we hear you?
You got 30 seconds left.
No, I would like some clarity on the municipalities that we're talking about.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, this is an inside baseball. So,
Okay.
Bill, you want to come talk to this with Don?
I mean, it seems like a pretty big question, but if we're all on board together, I believe that I can totally stand behind that. But with the question at hand, I don't know if that means that we have a fire in Mooresburg and we're dispatching out to Churchill, so I don't know. I don't have enough of the.
Well, the question is, an automatic aid agreement would dispatch the nearest fire station to the fire incident. Would you recommend convening a meeting of the municipalities to enact an automatic aid agreement for the entire county?
Yeah, so I would, from what I understand, that the rest of the county would be aiding in the person, or the fire department that got dispatched, because it doesn't seem like that you would dispatch somebody from Churchill to Mooresburg, but to be on the same page, if they did need help immediately, that it would go out. So yeah, I totally stand behind that.
All right, Stacy, this is up your alley.
Well, I have campaigned this whole time on common sense and bringing common sense to county government. Now, doesn't it make good common sense if your house is on fire, the closest fire department, regardless of the name that's on the side of that truck, shows up to your house? The issue we're running into, it's insurance reasons. Your volunteer service is under VFIS insurance. Your city municipal fire departments are under TML. Okay, TML and VFIS have their own guidelines on how they can respond to emergencies, to fires. Your city fire departments that are operating under TML, they have to go by those guidelines that they are requested by a volunteer fire department before they will come out. Once they're requested, they will come out. What needs to be brought to the table is TML, VFIS, the city representative, the county mayor, the fire chiefs, or the head of the Fire Chief Association, and sit down at the table and say, look guys, we have an issue that the closest fire truck is not responding to these emergencies. What do we have to do, and how do we get to the point of fixing that so that we're servicing the people with the closest emergency service?
Thanks, Stacy. Martha?
Well, I'm going to be short and sweet. I will work with any of the emergency services and any of the people that I need to in order for them to serve the citizens of the county with the respective emergency service.
Thank you. So I bet those in the audience didn't know that it's not the closest fire department comes to your fire. I didn't. Did you? David? What do you think?
I totally agree. I mean, you know, and I understand what Stacy said. There are some things that need to be worked out with different organizations and insurance companies and all that, we could sit down and do that and come up with the best proposal for the people of Hawkins County. You know, unfortunately, we do have a lot of rural areas, and I realize that once the fire department reaches that structural fire, sometimes there is no saving the structural fire or the structure from the fire, and unfortunately, that's just the way it is, because we don't have 24-hour manned fire departments in our county. If we did, we would cut down on reaction time, but we know that's probably never going to happen. And, you know, to have a system set in place that anybody or everybody gets called out, yes.
Well, I think it sounds like a no-brainer. I mean, you want the closest responsive team to be there to put your fire out. I mean, I've been through a house fire. I wanted people there immediately. But there are regulations that are in place that we would need to sit down and hash out how it's all going to work. The municipal fire departments have people on staff that are there most of the time, and they can respond quicker. They may or may not be the closest one, but let's work out a plan where we can get the closest and the best equipped and the quickest there first, and meet all the regulations that are in place to do that. And that would take a meeting with the mayor and the folks that are involved, all the fire chiefs and the insurance companies and things like that too. So no brainer, but there's a lot behind it.
As the mayor, I'd be very open to try to do that. You know, Stacy's talked about the insurance regulations. That's a big problem. One of the biggest problems, I think you'd be dealing with the mayors in the cities, because, again, being an alderman in the city of Churchill, I do know our employees are our fire people. Yeah, they may be a few volunteers that do that, but in the middle of the night, they get paged out. Our police officers are normally the first ones there. You're talking about taking everybody out of the city. You know, if Churchill is the one that gets paged out first outside the city, and that right there, to me, as the mayors look at that, that's going to be a big problem, that you are depleting your city. So that'd be something that will take a lot of negotiation and a lot of work, and I'd be very open to try to do that.
I agree about the insurance also, and yes, I totally agree with that, but I think you need to get some more people involved if you're gonna have this meeting, because it all starts at 911. So I think the director of 911 should be involved in that meeting also, and that will help everybody get on the same page to make this work, if that's what everybody agrees to do.
These are all related to emergency services, and I think these all came from volunteers in the back. So I'm going to read them all. The first one is, what would you do to improve emergency services in the county? If elected, what are your thoughts and feelings on the current level of county contributions to essential services? What would you do to better our emergency services if you're elected? If elected, do you classify volunteer emergency services, fire departments, rescue squad, as essential services? How do you plan on creating adequate recurring funding for fire rescue and EMS to eliminate donations to make us line items? So all those questions relate to concerns by volunteer fire and rescue squad and hazmat. How can the mayor, if you're the mayor, how would you support making them better and ensure adequate funding for them?
So it took you a minute to read all those off. I don't know if I could tackle them all at once.
Just a general idea.
Yeah, so there's plenty of things that we can do, and I think it's kind of, I don't know if it's in poor taste that we have to have our volunteer firefighters take up donations. I believe that those could be allocated to things that in the departments are not necessarily a need but a want, instead of having to take up donations for things that have to be dedicated for the firemen and fire department. I believe that the way that our turnout gear has, kind of eroded to the point it has is, kind of a shame. And I don't know what the exact fix of that was for the past 10 years that we've got to this point, but I think that we could do things through multiple, possibly a committee that has an oversight of things that are generally needed in those issues.
Hawkins County budget currently doesn't look at the contributions in the fire side, the EMS side, the rescue squad as an essential item. Let's go back to that common sense thing now. Common sense is going to tell you we need those things, don't you? Common sense is going to tell you they should be essential items, and those should be things that we fund. I'm the only one sitting up here that voted for the wheel tax. And let me tell you why I voted for that wheel tax. Because you know what was going to get cut? Your fire service, your EMS, your rescue squads, the county employees, everybody was going to take a hit. And there were some commissioners that was willing to let the county go down to that. And I wasn't, and I stood up for every fire department and every rescue worker so that the citizens could still be serviced by these agencies when they need them. When the wheel tax passed, I was able to dedicate $10 of revenue from the $40 increase that would create a public safety reserve and a line item so that in the future, when there was a shortage in the general fund budget, these first responders had a dedicated revenue stream that they could get money from. So that's how I plan on supporting, is to be a strong advocate, to work with them and help fund them with what we can within our county budget. Obviously, county commission approves the budget. We can only do what money we have with. But I'm taking the first step to try to fund them.
Thanks, Stacey. Martha?
I'm in support of the wheel tax, the $10 that's going to support these emergency services. As Stacey said, that's a direct amount of your tax dollars that's going to fund them, and if that $10 is cut, then it's going to have to come from property tax, or else you will have to quit funding them. I've been in the mayor's office for 30-some years, and I have always worked with emergency services, will continue to work with emergency services, but it's not something that the county mayor can do on its own. You have to have cooperation from all of the agencies, from the county commissioners, from the citizens as well, and the emergency services have to be good stewards of what funds they have, I think. And I don't know any of their financial situations right now that I could even talk about, but I think it takes a collaborative effort from everybody.
Okay, David.
And I do applaud the fire departments and everyone that gets out and they do their roadblocks and their spaghetti dinners for different things, their ham suppers. That is revenue they got coming in. That's not always guaranteed. But usually people come out and they try to give $10, $15, do whatever they can, and I appreciate that. And I know they do too. Every dollar counts. One thing that I'd like to see, and we talked about the wheel tax a little bit, is I'd like to know how much revenue that we're losing from the wheel tax, that people go out of the county and buy vehicles and don't pay the wheel tax, and or just don't go buy the wheel tax sticker and drive on dead tax. We're probably losing thousands and thousands of dollars just on that money could be appropriated back to our essential services and everything to alleviate some of the pressure off of them so that they could buy better turnout gear, equip their fire trucks better and everything, So, it's a collaborative effort from everybody to try to help these people do the best they can do with what they got.
We've got a golden opportunity right now with a lot of these ARPAs, the American Rescue Plan Act funds, the COVID relief funds. I've been chairman of the committee that's trying to make recommendations to spend that money. We talk about turnout gear. We've already made the recommendation, and it's passed through the commission. We're buying turnout gear for all of the fire departments in the county. I think we've made a lot of progress for the public safety services. because also from those funds, we have designated money, it's been approved to go ahead and put the new radio system in, make it digital. That's come through that committee. So we're already working on that kind of thing. But I also want to mention that, and I've talked about this in Rogersville, that there was a committee that was two committees that were put together to make recommendations for services, for emergency services in the county. And their recommendations were never really even considered by the commission. I think it's time to take a look at those and get us working toward a really good support base for emergency services.
In my time on the commission, I have tried to be very supportive of these services. One of the things that we've had, it's on our, in fact, it's on the agenda this next Monday, is there's a move to cut the wheel tax $10. I personally would rather see, and I have mentioned it, I mentioned this in Cherokee and I mentioned it in other places, that I'd rather see us take this $10 or part of this $10 and start on a rotating basis, work and try to buy these volunteer fire departments a new fire truck. It's approximately $300,000 from what that I've heard. You know, I heard that through the city. They were talking about one for the city of Churchill, about $300,000 to buy a new fire truck. We could take part of that money instead of spending it, instead of just cutting it, and use that for services that would benefit everybody in this county. On a rotating basis, you have to go on who has the worst need of a fire truck, buy them one the first year, and then who's in the second need the second year, and you take us a few years, but eventually everybody would get a new fire truck.
I think we need to start with the fire chiefs. I think we, as a county mayor, you need to sit down with the fire chiefs and figure out what all their needs are. I'm one of them that voted against the wheel tax, and I'm gonna tell you why, because I do not see the state coming in here. Our contributions are so big, I do not see the state coming in to cut public safety and put everybody in this county in jeopardy. I understand what Mr. Vaughn's saying, but I just really disagree with that theory, because that's putting a liability on the state if they cut out public safety. Now, the $10 that went to public safety, at the time it was voted on, it's supposed to be in for the fire departments and any other public safety to have money allotted for needs of fire trucks or whatever. And somehow the contribution from the $10 is now giving them their contribution, where originally it was coming out of general fund. So I don't know how that got changed, but I like to see that go back, and that way you have your $10, and when a fire department or any other public safety in the county needs something, they can come and ask for it, and the county commission will have to approve it. And like I said, I think it all starts with the fire chiefs, because the county needs to know all their needs. And right now, I mean, I hear needs about every budget time. And I think sitting down with them during their time they can, not just when you take a notion to have a meeting, but I think you're to sit down with the fire chiefs in the afternoon, have a meeting with them, and whoever else needs to be involved, get them involved, and start fixing the problem in the county.
All right, thanks, Mike. Kelly?
I would start with who needs the most help, and I think they've got a way of checking that, and you focus on that. And the way I look at it, saying, okay, if you're not as good as you was a year ago, from an equipment standpoint, you're the one we need to focus on. Radios, as I traveled the county, I kept hearing radios that we hadn't resolved that. Maybe it has, but I don't know that. One of these guys should be able to tell us that. Turnout gear, you know, I hear that, hey, we're using turnout gear that the shelf life's gone. Is that good or bad? I don't know. It sounds to me like we need to replace that with all of us got, and with what Mark said, we're doing that. I think that there's grant money we're not going after for equipment. I don't know that we need to take the wheel tax money and buy a truck. I mean, you're gonna get resentment from that, in my opinion. But I think there's grant money, and I think we need the fire truck. I support that.
Okay, thank you.
But, sorry.
Kenny? Shuffle papers here, not paying attention. All right, Stacy. Fuel prices have recently increased substantially. What's your thoughts on how much money this is gonna cost the county if prices don't return to historic levels? And explain how you think the additional cost should be paid for.
Well, I think it's gonna be a significant impact on the sheriff, the highway department, and the school system. Hopefully, the school board and the county commissioners can look within those budgets and see some line items that could be downgraded to something to help increase the fuel line items. I know that's not going to be popular, being a former budget chairman. Anytime you talk cuts to an office holder's budget, that's not a well accepted thing. But those would have to be looked at first before there would be any increases. There's a fund balance at this time, and one of the commissioners mentioned there's a $10 reduction of the wheel tax. So with everything that has increased, including the fuel, I'm not sure right now is the time to look at decreasing any kind of revenues, because you're going into a budget process now, so you don't know what the school budget's going to look like. You don't know what your general fund or your highway fund is going to look like, just because of the increases such as the fuel. If it's a 1-year thing or a 2-year thing, you could subsidize it with your unassigned fund balance and hope at the end of the year that your numbers come in less than projected. So that basically, that's going to be my answer, is just juggle those budgets and see what you can do.
All right, Martha?
Well, in processing invoices, I can tell you that the county uses Fuelman as to purchase their gasoline through, with the exception of the highway department. And we do not pay the dollar amount that's on the pump. We get a discounted rate through Fuelman. The fuel for the highway department is bid every year at the end of June, which starts July 1, and you bid it a percentage over rack price for the day that you bought your fuel. So you don't know what the fuel's going to cost, but just know that we're not paying pump prices for it. Now, in times past, I have seen the fuel go up, and you've had to adjust the budgets at the time. You know, the departments could look at their routes that they're, like the sheriff's department, their routes that they're doing, maybe alleviate some of that. I know that the education department has ordered some smaller buses this year to help with their fuel cost.
Thanks, Martha. David?
And I'll concur with some of that. There are ways that you can reduce, you know, by changing routes and things of that nature. There's a lot of questions in that question that could be asked, as far as why this and why that is, you know, but working with the committees, with the budget and things of that nature. You know, unfortunately, we don't have no control over the price of gas. Because trust me, I don't love filling up my truck at $5 a gallon of diesel. And, you know, it's just a collaborative effort of everybody trying to conserve until the next time that the budget comes out, to try to, you know, eliminate what you can, conserve, do the best you can, just like everybody else does with their daily budget at home. Because I've learned over the years, if you bring in $100 and you spend $110, you're not going to be there very long.
Well, you know, face it, gas prices aren't going to come down for quite a while, as long as we've got the current administration in place and the way things are going. We have to plan for that. Fortunately, the timing for a bad situation is about as good as it can be, with budget hearings coming up in the next few weeks. Departments will have to add some money to their fuel line items and have to move some money around. You know, it's going to hit us hard. We have to take the approach that, you know, we have to budget well for that, and then on the other side, we have to plan how we use that fuel. Shorter trips, you know, let's not waste gas by, leaving vehicles running, taking trips that don't need to be taken. Everybody needs to pitch in on this, and it's gonna be tough. But with budget time coming up, it's something we can plan a little bit for. Keith?
Like everybody else, hopefully these gas prices will come back down. But like Mark said, it don't look like it's gonna be anytime soon. One of the big things, each one of these places have, when I say places, each one of these budgets of different departments, they normally have a little bit of a surplus at the end of the year. Hopefully we can move that money that they can put into the fuel, and that we won't have to hit the budget too hard. And what it'll do, what it means, it will, normally that surplus goes back into the general fund and undesignated fund balance. So that may hurt us right there. I do know this, that the school, and the last time we had an education meeting, they mentioned they bought some propane buses. I don't know how that's gonna work, and I think this is an experience, an experiment that they're trying to see how they do work for the county. So, this is a rough answer right here, because this is affecting everybody in this room, these gas prices.
Thanks. Mike?
I think, being the CFO of the county, I think it ought to start with the office holders, because a lot of office holders don't have vehicles. So I don't think you ought to jeopardize their budget. I think you ought to start with the office holders that actually has county vehicles, and start with them, trying to figure out if you can figure out ways to see what needs they really need to be driving that vehicle. I mean, I know like sheriff's department, they drive a lot, and the schools, but I think property assessor and solid waste, that's stuff that's gonna have to move anyway, and I think you ought to start with the office holders that's using vehicles, instead of trying to jeopardize every office holder that don't have a vehicle. I think you ought to just start with that.
Okay.
I agree with mostly what was said, but you can just do so much of that. Our county, to get better, is gonna have to increase revenue. And we've gotta take that serious. It's a long-term thing, bringing industry into our county. But we should work our small businesses, and whatever they need, we should provide if we can. We gotta create more revenue for Hawkins County. We're gonna have to take serious going after grants. I think the organization is First Tennessee Development. They give classes. I don't think, they requested that the mayor attend. I don't think he did. I don't know if any of the rest of them did or not. But that's a good lesson. We talked about, we need somebody writing grants. We need that money to make a difference in Hawkins County. And I believe it's there.
Thanks.
And we're gonna go after it.
Kenny, how are we gonna solve the gas problem?
Can you repeat? Well, I guess you did. I was working on this back. Is it still working?
Basically, how are we gonna deal with the extra cost of gas?
Well, the ongoing thing with, local and federal and across the nation is how can we do more with the same, or how can we do more with less? Well, inflation and just the rise of cost throughout, nature, everything rises. I think Stacy made a good point by going through and checking line items, and those departments that do have a lot of movement as far as fuel. And it is a good thing that we are getting fuel at a decreased amount. I don't know what that is. But there's things that we could also do amongst those fleets and make sure that they're running properly. I know that's, probably make a small dent in it, but especially at fuel $5 a gallon or more, I think, we need to be as efficient as possible with our fleets.
Okay, Martha, this is interesting. This is from one of our commissioners, Jeff Barrett. If you're elected chairman of the commission, what criteria will you use to determine committee assignments? And will commissioners who didn't support you be treated fairly? In other words, you're going to hold a grudge?
Now, repeat that last part.
You're gonna hold a grudge? I'll read the whole thing again. It's a good question. It's a good question from Jeff. If elected chairman of the county commission, what criteria will you use to determine committee assignments? And will commissioners who did not support you be treated fairly in campaign and committee assignments?
Well, just let me start by saying that I hope over the 30 years I have treated everybody fairly. I don't hold grudges. I normally say what I think and get it off my chest and it's over with. But as chairman of the county commission and in appointing the internal committees, with going down to 14, we have normally had a commissioner from each district represented on each committee. You will have to look at the committees, look at the commission, and see what their work schedule is to know whether or not they'll be able to attend meetings. If you have as many committees as you have now, we may have to combine committees in order to get county business done that needs to be done, that needs to go through committee, in order for the committee members to be able to be there during the day for a committee meeting. So it'll take a lot of looking at the commissioners and what committees we need.
And like Martha said, if we have to combine, we are going to have 14 commissioners. We will be having to combine some committees probably. Everything, but you also look at the qualifications of your elected officials, of the county commission. If you've got someone that's a CPA, why not put them on the budget finance committee? I mean, it's sort of asinine not to do that. Qualifications for whatever department that they studied and learned in, and they do, put them on that committee. As far as holding a grudge, if I'm elected, I'm actually going to call each commissioner and ask them, are they doing this for the county, or are you doing this for yourself? And if I don't get a positive response, I'm going to ask for a resignation. So I'm not going to hold a grudge, by no means, because it's not for the betterment of the county. But if you're not going to be in it for the county, then you don't need to be certain. And also, anyone that is put in as an elected official, we are working for you. So why would we not put it in best interest to do what is right and put the right people in each committee?
Thanks, David. Mark?
It's one of the toughest assignments that the commission chairman has is assigning committees. It's a big giant jigsaw puzzle. You have to have somebody from each district. It's not written in stone, but typically we have somebody from each district on each committee. We're going down to 14. It's going to make it even tougher. But when you're looking at that jigsaw puzzle, you ought to look at those pieces. If one of those pieces argued with you before, you need to set that aside. You need to set aside any differences you have with any of the commissioners. You need to take a look at what their strengths are. Let them tell you what their strengths are. Don't just guess, because that won't get you anywhere. But back to my point about having citizens on committees, we need to do that as well. But it's a tough job. I would not hold any grudges. Everybody likes me anyway, so we just put them where they want to go.
That is probably going to be one of the worst jobs when it comes to a point when you start appointing these committees, because you'll make half of them mad. Half of them want to be on one committee, and the other half, everybody wants to be on certain committees, and they don't get the committee they want, so you're going to make 7 of them mad now. Combining committees is also a thing that, I mentioned that when we were at Cherokee about may need to look about combining some of these committees. Another thing that, we're going to have a whole lot younger of a commission, that some of these people work and they're going to have a hard time getting off. I don't know if having committee meetings at night might become something that we have to look at. But the way I would approach the committees is that I would talk to the commissioners that's in that district and say, these are the committees we got. Which ones you all want to be on? And if we have two that want to be on the same committee, then it becomes my decision. Because, you know, if they can't settle it out, you gotta look at qualifications, look at their past experience, and see who would be the best. But hopefully between the two, they can help solve that problem.
Thanks, Keith. Mike?
Me being the chair of the county commission once upon a time, I would not hold grudges. That'd be the first thing. I think by state law, the only committee that's got a certain amount of members on it is the budget committee. So I would like to see the commission stay together. So what I would like to propose to them is take all the committees and combine them all so they all will sit on them. And that way, if you need to change or whatever, that way, when you got them all together, they ain't bickering, because everybody wants to be on the budget, everybody wants to be on public safety, and I mean, that's what gets it all started. And I just love to see, just cause every committee, there's a lot of them don't even have no issues at all. I mean, I'm on committees now, and I ain't been to a committee meeting since they've been changed this last time. And I think if you go ahead and combine them all together, that way you ain't worried about everybody getting mad. And like I said, the budget, I think you ought to go with it and look at the qualifications, because I know for a fact, like right now, there's a commissioner who's got a CBA. She ain't even on the budget committee. Should be, because I mean, that's who you want on your budget committee, the people that's got the education and the skill knowledge to know how to work with it.
Thank you. Kevin?
I agree with his last statement. I'm very optimistic. I'm planning to be your mayor. So one thing I've done, the first thing I will do was look, I'm already looking, trying to search the skill sets of the ones coming in. They're pretty good, and you got some good people. But we have to get the politics out of the commission. And the way you do that is teamwork. Deal with facts. When you have a committee meeting, you streamline it. And the way you streamline it, the mayor's sitting there. Because a lot of times you're having a meeting and you're, at the end, you can't do anything else till you get the mayor's approval. So he should be sitting there. You don't wait till the next meeting. If you got all the facts in front of you that you're going to ever have, you make the decision then. You don't wait till the next meeting. And I believe it'll fall together, and it's called teamwork, and that'll make it happen.
Well, let's beat a dead horse to death. I believe that if, from a logistical standpoint, if there are committees that can be combined into one and it works for everybody, that's great. You have some people that offer different skill sets, and if that allows them to do particular committees, that's great. So we really don't know this until we get into it and we can see it from a standpoint of where that needs to happen. I can't say one needs to happen over the other until we get into that. So, and as far as holding grudges, I think a lot of people forget that we're adults and we have lost the ability for communication. Whether you disagree with somebody or not, you have to have a conversation. Because without that, I don't know where you stand. You could possibly be right, and me too, but without looking at the view of reference, we can't work together for that. So I think communication amongst the committee members and the commissioners is vital, you know, to be able to impart on those discussions.
Thank you. Steve?
No, I don't feel I would have any reason to hold any grudges against any commissioner that didn't support me. And I don't think it would be feasible to load all 14 commissioners up on every committee. That changes your quorum, and then you may have commissioners that don't have an interest in the airport, and they're forced to sit on the airport committee. You may have commissioners that want to be on the beer board. Same as with the road committee that meets a lot, you know, to go over the road budget, the road list, the road issues. One committee that I probably would want to put everybody on would be the budget committee. And it seemed to work well when I took over as budget chairman. There was some disconnect with commissioners and the budget committee, and there was grumbling that, well, the budget committee can get what they want, and there was a bunch of, I think, no votes that was directed just toward the budget committee. So I opened it up and put every county commissioner on the budget committee and welcomed them all on board, and even paid them a regular committee pay of $50 per meeting to attend. And I think it worked out well for the ones that wasn't part of the budget committee that attended, and they had a say when they could help make the budget. So, and I would use to promote people or put people on these committees based on their recommendation and their experience. I've got one more thing to say, and I'll let you go. There was a commissioner said that last week that he would not put a county employee on the budget committee if he was elected county commissioner. If that county employee is following the state of Tennessee, the laws to be elected county commissioner, I would not discriminate against that employee or anybody else on what committees I put them on.
Okay, Stacy. I think this next question, Sheldon must have helped write.
Sheldon.
This is from Bernadette Pager, and for those of you who don't know her, Bernadette is a lobbyist and advocate for healthcare freedom, and she was instrumental in the law that was passed, I guess, last week, allowing ivermectin to be sold over the counter. So here's her question, and this lady knows what she's talking about. The CDC issued recommendations and guidance that was treated like law throughout the land, and it was recently struck down in the courts. During COVID, controversial and unproven protocols were forced upon the public without any local scrutiny or proper due process. What would you do to ensure your citizens' due process rights are upheld during public health emergencies as provided under the 14th Amendment? So let me read that one again. Let's say see Sheldon helped write this one. Okay, so the CDC issued recommendations and guidance that was treated like law throughout the land and was recently struck down in the courts. During COVID, controversial and unproven protocols were forced upon the public without any local scrutiny or proper due process. What would you do to ensure your citizens' due process rights are upheld during public health emergencies as provided under the 14th Amendment?
Thank you for that question. You're up. Is that me?
Yeah.
Well, the CDC, Centers for Disease Control, all they recommended. As the county mayor, and I said this a couple of years ago when all this crap started, that if I were county mayor, I would not have instituted a mask mandate. We're grown adults. We know how to take care of ourselves, or we should. Now, I do know that we've got people that have health issues. We've got children that have health issues. And I think as responsible adults that I could make that decision for my child or for my parent or anyone else that would need that. If you walked into a store, and just like at our restaurant, we didn't institute a mask mandate. We had people that wanted to wear a mask. We told them if they want to, fine, go ahead. But I would not institute that. As the store owner, if they wanted to institute that, then I did abide by their guidelines. But I would not institute or go by the federal or the CDC guidelines because it's only asking you to. It's not a law that you must.
All right, thank you. Mark?
Well,
If anybody wants me to reread the question, just...
No, I'm good. I'm not sure what the county mayor's power is in being able to allow certain treatments or certain protocols or certain things to happen in the county medical wise. I fully believe in some of the treatments that were out there that weren't really readily available. I can tell you that I had COVID symptoms, and I was fortunate enough to have a brother that could prescribe ivermectin. So I took ivermectin and a steroid and an antibiotic, and within 8 hours my symptoms were gone. So I know that things like that work. I would not impose any kind of a law, I guess, that would say that you couldn't do that, but I'm not sure that's in the mayor's purview.
Okay. Keith?
When the mayor the county imposed a mask mandate. I know Jeff Bobo, of course, he was working for a different agency back up the road. He asked me my opinion on that. And I told Jeff, I said, I feel like it's overreach. That may not be exactly if you look in the paper, but it's overreach. That the mayor does not have the power to require a mask mandate. You can suggest, you can plead, you can ask. If somebody, if you need to follow the guidelines, I tried to wear a mask when I went in public. If I went into a store and they said masks are required, I put a mask on. I don't know how many times I got messages from my kids during our county commission meeting, put your mask on, put your mask on, which sometimes I did and sometimes I didn't. But I feel like it's overreach, but as far as the mayor, and that's the way I would look at it, you can encourage, but you can't mandate.
Thank you.
By law, the mayor's got the right to put a mask mandate on county buildings. Anybody else in the county, I think the mayor should talk to the people in the county and try to make them understand why they should wear a mask. But overall, the mayor cannot make a decision for the whole county to wear a mask. And I don't know, I'm gonna use the mayor in Hancock County because I watched him a whole lot when all this mandating was going on. And he just made it more where he communicated with the county, his county. And that made people want to put their mask on. He didn't make them do it, he didn't try to force it on them, he just talked to them. And then when he done that, the county come together and put the mask on. And I mean, I think the main thing is you're gonna have to relay to the people in the county to try to make them understand what the consequence is if you don't do it, and so on. But it's their choice.
I don't agree with mandates, but I believe in respecting the people that's around me. For example, in the classes I teach at Walter State, the first thing I do is in teaching a class, I ask, is everybody comfortable with me not wearing a mask? And I say, you can wear one or not wear one. It's not mandated. And I respect that. I've never had to wear a mask. But again, there's some people that have a disease or something like that. They might be protecting us when they're wearing a mask. I've got a couple of people that are. I don't question it. But I don't agree with any kind of mandate.
I think a mandate for a mask mandate is an absolute overreach. I'm not going to sit here and say that I've been very kosher during the whole mask mandate. I've been kicked out of several places for not wearing a mask. And the people that's called me out on it, and every time somebody's called me out on it, I've turned around and they've either had their mask over their head, under their nose, or under their chin. So I will not be your Uncle Sam. I will not be an overreach. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. I've had COVID. You know what I did? I'm an adult. I stayed home until I felt better. I got checked and I went back out in the public. So I think the mandates of any kind and telling somebody what they can and cannot take for their own medical use is absolutely ridiculous. We're all free people, and like I said, I'm pro-American, and that's why I'll keep it.
Stacy?
If me as the mayor has to tell you to wear a mask and wash your hands, Hawkins County's got bigger problems than what I thought. You're given the information from the CDC. It's not my job to come out and hold your hand. You take responsibility and precautions to protect yourself and your family. That's not my job.
Martha?
In working in the county mayor's office these years, we have been through different pandemics, and I have sat in on some of those planning sessions for putting a safety plan together for the pandemic. I think the mayor's role is the ability to communicate to the public what the public health has arrived at as a safety issue and things you can do to protect yourself as well as others, and communicate that to the public and to the office holders. And as far as mandating a mask mandate, I would not do that, but I know some of the elected officials now required masks to come into their office because they had so many employees that were out, and it put them into a disadvantage in serving the public whenever they didn't have people to work to serve them. So I think you have to use common sense. Everybody does. Common sense goes a long way with whatever we're doing.
Yeah, it does. Thanks, Mark. Okay, so the last question. And then you guys are gonna get your 2-minute wrap up that I forgot last time. Should Laurel Run Park be supported solely by taxing all the citizens of Hawkins County? Or should a user fee be collected as in the case of Bays Mountain Park and Kingsport? I'll read that again. Should Laurel Run Park be supported solely by taxing all the citizens of Hawkins County? Or should a user fee be collected as is in the case for Bays Mountain Park and Kingsport?
Well, I don't understand why we would single out Laurel Run Park to put a user fee on. It's part of the county park system. There is a master plan in place for county parks, some of the municipal parks right now, that includes some improvements to Laurel Run Park. And I don't see singling out one park in the system to put a user fee on it. I think that the taxes support the parks. That's part of what you get for your money. And I don't, again, I just don't see a user fee be put in place there.
I agree. I do not believe there needs to be a user fee. That's one of the biggest assets we got. We were talking about tourism. We want people to come in and use our parks. And I'll give you a little example. Of course, again, I mentioned I'm an alderman in the city of Churchill. Churchill put the first splash pad in. Now, you won't believe the amount of kids that come out there and enjoy that. Are we going to charge people that live outside the city to come in there and use that splash pad? And the answer is no to that. Of course, we are having to put a recycle because we had several $1,000s in water bill. But as far as charging people to use our parks, no, I do not agree with that.
Okay.
I don't agree with it there, but I also don't agree with taxpayers doing it. I think we'll start looking at, I know we got disc golf at Laurel Run Park. I think they'll start having tournaments and stuff there to help offset some fees. And I mean, we can build this park and do a lot of stuff that we could probably collect fees off of that probably where it could take care of itself. So I really don't think that we ought to put a fee on it, but I'm kind of against the taxpayers taking care of it also. But we just need to figure out ways how we can use the park for our advantage to take care of itself.
Okay. Yeah.
I agree. I don't think any fee should be charged in the park, especially saying to single one out. I think we're not fair.
I don't think the residents of the county should be solely responsible for paying, or, the people that use Laurel Run. I don't think they should be, charged for it. I think that kind of falls on the feet of everybody, across the county. If I use the city park or Laurel Run Park, that all comes out of our taxes. And, possibly we could look into things as far as tournaments, even at our city park, Roswell City. I know it's a different district, but anything that could help those parks, take a chunk out of what we've got to divvy out would be a great thing.
The countywide budget, you're looking at approximately $110 million. $110 million annually in a budget of operating. Out of that, approximately $600,000 is what operates the parks. Basically a drop in the bucket. That's counting the employees, 4 or 5 employees, counting the full-time and part-time. That's counting all the maintenance, the operation of the parks. So we're kind of getting our parks right now at a really good deal. So if you want to replace that $600,000, you get the budget crunch, you may have to look at doing something different then. But when you can get by with $600,000 of $110 million and maintain the parks that we have, I think we're doing pretty good. Martha?
Base Mountain offers services that Hawkins County doesn't offer. They have more staff on hand every day. that Hawkins County doesn't have. So they probably have to charge a user's fee to support their park. Right now, we are charging for shelter fees. If you want to go to Laurelland Park and have a reserved shelter and know that your party has a shelter that they can use. If you're an out-of-county resident, then you pay that fee. If you're an in-county resident, you can reserve it without a fee. So I don't think that we need to impose a user's fee to be able to use the park. Now, within the park's budget, funding the upkeep of the St. Clair Park, which is a small park, but yet it still requires upkeep. So, as Stacy says, I think that there's not that much of the budget that's going out of the total budget that's going to the parks budget for what our residents are getting.
All right, thank you. Okay, so, time for a wrap up. Wait, what? No, I'm skipping him on purpose.
I would simply say, no, the user fix it.
Really?
Really?
Okay. Martha, we're gonna start with you. 2 minutes. Tell everybody why you ought to be the mayor.
I feel like that working in the mayor's office for 32 years and being directly involved in county's business for all departments qualifies me to understand the role of the mayor as administrative assistant. I know the duties of the mayor. I've worked with all the mayors very closely. I've had to follow local laws, state laws, and federal laws. And as purchasing coordinator, I've got the knowledge and experience of purchasing agent, which is the county mayor's role too for the county. And so I feel like I understand the responsibilities of the mayor. And I have a true heart for Hawkins County and its progress and its growth for our future generations. And I have seen a lot of progress over the years with the county, and I don't want that to go backwards. I pledge that I'll work hard every day with the county's best interest in mind. And I know that the key to success with anything is communications and everybody working together for the good of all. And I will strive to work with the elected officials, the county commissioners, and any of the departments nonprofits that the county deals with. So I just ask that you prayerfully choose the candidate that you're going to cast your vote for. And if you choose to vote for me, then I will pledge to work for the county every day to the best of my ability. And I don't like to ask forgiveness. I like to get permission before I do anything.
Thanks, Mark. Stacy?
Well, my vision for the mayor's office is I want to bring cooperation, participation, and education with understanding amongst the office holders, the county employees, the citizens, and the mayor's office staff. I intend to have an open door policy, meaning when, I know a lot of us have said open door policy. When you come to the mayor's office, you'll walk in the mayor's office, you'll see the mayor. If you need to go take care of something in the mayor's office, you'll be able to take care of it. You're not going to be scanned in and escorted in and patted down or whatever else goes on. You will be met with friendly staff that everybody is going to get along and they're going to enjoy it, we hope. Going way back to what I feel like I can bring to the office of mayor, back in 1995, I started my own farming operation, took along, bought a few cows. Over the years up till now, I'm up to over 100 cattle, and I farm pretty much full-time along with having a full-time job, and I'm able to manage that with no debt at this point. During this time, I served for 14 years as the fire chief of the Stanley Valley Fire Department. We were able to bring in over